All right, guys, we're back. I had to go look up a guide. I have totally forgotten most of these uppercase letters, as you can see, because I got as far as A and I tapped out. But anyway, one of the reasons I don't remember the big letters is because they're so unrecognizable to a lot of people. So I think the trick to why my handwriting is legible is probably that I don't follow a lot of this funky stuff that you're seeing. And I tend to print my capital letters and I cursive all my lowercase letters. But you'll see that in a second when I go back over the quick brown fox. So, sorry, let's try, okay, B, take two. All right, let's do this. So this little guy, and I'll link this so you guys can look at it. Anybody wants to learn cursive writing, then you can follow this guide. Basically, all this is telling you is that you're going to start at the top, go down, you're going to come back up, do a loop-de-loop, and then come in. And these little guys right here, these little joiners, are important because that's what leads you into the next letter. So that's what cursive is all about. That's why it's supposed to save time. So these little accents that are coming off all the letters here, as you can see, they're for connecting to the next letter in your word. So let's go ahead and jot out all these alphabets real quick, and then we'll get to the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. All right, B, take two. Let's do it. What do we say? We go down, we come back up, loop-de-loop, and come in. Now, I've got a little bit of a hard brush going on, so let me take it down so you can see what I'm actually doing. So down, and come back up, loop-de-loop, and come back in, just like that. And the lowercase b is quite similar, just like so. So these guys are a little weird, the uppercase ones that kind of start at the top, but really you don't want to start at the top, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it starts at the top, but really what's happening here is that you should be able to join something there. You don't necessarily have to do it this way. I'll do it the way it's telling us to, though. So loop-de-loop, and out again, and it's a little bit smaller. I always made them smaller. You can see how tiny it is. It's really just kind of a cleft that comes in and scoops out. We got another little doodad, little loop-de-loop. Wait, oh, I think you guys are going to be able to tell I'm dyslexic. What? How does this work? Okay, it has a thing here, but it doesn't tell you where to start. So I'm assuming you start here, loop-de-loop. Okay, that makes more sense. All right, maybe we should follow the guide. Loop-de-loop and doodad. Lowercase d is a little easier, just like so. So let's try that again. Maybe we should zoom in a little bit. And if you notice what's happening here on these ends is I'm leaving a little guy, because that's coming in from another letter when you're actually writing an actual word. And if I recall correctly, the E has a little loop-de-loop and loop-de-loop in the middle. And then lowercase e is a little squiggle. And let's see what the F looks like. F. Oh, this one used to be my favorite when I was a kid, I remember. Okay, so we're going to have a little loopy here at the end. And that's an F, right? Always remember to check your work. Good job. And then lowercase f is a lot of fun. Oops, that's not lowercase f. That's a lowercase f. Which is funny because this is actually how I write my f's. So the uppercase G, I don't know if you noticed, but this is some funky stuff happening here. That's just too much. So a lot of people, this is one of the reasons why cursive gets a bad rap, because it's so unrecognizable as any other kind of print letter, any other kind of printed typography that's ever happened in, online or in print world, there's no G that looks like that. So anyway, so let's just follow the guide. It comes up from the bottom to the little loop and kind of a cleft, comes back in, makes a little jug at the bottom. So, and what is that? I don't even know what that is. So lowercase g is a little more recognizable, like so. And what is H? H is probably something fancy. That's just, look how ridiculous that is. This is why, I can totally understand why people hate cursive, but when I'm actually writing it, it seems a lot more intuitive. The I is a little unnecessary. There's an I, it's a lowercase I. J is actually kind of fun. It does something like this. And then here's a lowercase j, like so. What's a K? What's a K look like? So we got a little loop-de-loop here. There's that. The lowercase k is actually kind of funky. Tends to look a little bit like an R if you don't make your ascender tall enough. So make sure you come up high enough and come back in, like so. L is really easy, or if I would pay attention to what I'm doing, it's really easy. It's actually how I sign my L's. Like when you're saying love so-and-so. I think you're probably getting the gist of it. I don't really want to like do a 10-minute video of me obnoxiously explaining how the alphabet works. I think you've probably got the gist by now, even though I clearly have not done this in a while. This is another thing that pisses people off. There's an extra hump in the M and the N. So N looks like M and M looks like waves. Like, what is that about? So let's do the lowercase m's and n's real quick. That's an M. This is an N. And this is a lowercase n, like so. Let's do the Q's real quick because that's a funky one. Where's Q? Q looks like a 2. No reason, no rhyme or reason. There's no reason for it to look like that. So that's a Q, and then this is a lowercase q. Well, actually, they do it a little different, I think. It's probably something like that. And let's see. R's are pretty straightforward. This is something else that people don't understand about R. Lowercase r is a little weird. Let's do the R real quick. There's R, and then lowercase r is like so. It's like a hard mountaintop kind of thing. Lowercase s's are also kind of weird. Big s's are weird. And then, oops. See, I'm going a little too fast. This is another thing. If you go too fast, you end up with doctor handwriting. So I don't even remember how to do this. That's an S, though. T's are pretty straightforward. B's, W's also. X, Y, Z. Z is a little weird, so let's do Z real quick. Z is weird because it's got this loop-de-loop and it comes down and up again. So basically that whole hard zigzag that you see in print is actually more of a loop-de-loop. So let's do that real quick. Oops. We don't even have erasers anymore. This is amazing. Isn't this amazing? See, that's just so, that doesn't even look like what it's supposed to look like. That's just so unnatural. I can totally, I think I've learned something. That's a Z. That's a lowercase z. That's weird, isn't it? At any rate, there's your alphabet. I'm going to go ahead and try and do this more correctly than I did previously. Again, here's what I wrote before, but now that I've done the alphabet correctly, let's see if I can do this correctly too. So here's T, the, Oops. Oh. Quick. Oh, God. This is turning into a nightmare. Quick. Don't forget to dot your I's. Brown. That's the thing about cursive is you're not letting up, so you got to start over every time. Brown. Now, here's something that's interesting about cursive and when you actually get into writing letters is see how earlier the N look like two humps, but really what's happening is when you have something next to it, that hump is actually coming in from the other letter. So now it actually kind of looks like an N. All right, so fox. Oops. How do Z's go? Like so? That looks like fog, doesn't it? Ridiculous. All right. So J, U, M, M, P, S, dot your J, oops, over the lazy dog. Did you hear Petey? You hear Petey, my bird, just cheering me on. We're a pro now, aren't we? All right, so let's compare that real quick. Okay, so there's the correct one, and then there's mine. It's a pretty big difference. I guess I do it a lot differently. I'm not really sure how much more legible mine is. At least the X looks like an X, and the Z kind of looks like a Z. I think you could probably gain more from how I actually write than the correct version. But anyway, so there is a tutorial that I Play with Crayons asked for. Some people were asking for a sample, so I'm going to go ahead and write something a little different, and I'll post those too. All right, take it easy.